from the oil capital of North Dakota in Tioga. AM 1090 brings you the Morning Lowdown with your host, Dakota Public Relations own, connected, experienced, legislative agent, Dennis Lindahl.
And to talk to us about this today is psychotherapist Dr. Lisa Palmer. We're going to talk about post-election spike in bullying and how can relations improve. So, good morning, Dr. Palmer. Thank you for joining us here on the Morning Lowdown.
Dennis. How are you?
Do you think, in your opinion, from your perspective, especially as a psychotherapist, do you believe that conservatives feel as if they've been bullied for the last 8 years, and might they express frustration or have frustration because of their feelings?
From my perspective as a psychotherapist, I always try to look from both sides. And I do have that ability to do that probably better than most people without getting myself emotionally involved, which is what a lot of people are doing now, is they're getting emotionally involved. And so I do feel that the conservatives, from their perspective, feel that they have been bullied. And I do feel that Donald Trump also feels that he's been bullied by media and he has been standing up to them. So all of this is from his perspective, not from my own. But I also see how on the liberal side, they're concerned about their freedoms being taken away. They do have some valid concerns about health care and how, if they're going to lose their health care, they're going to lose some of their rights that they have gained in the last 8 years. So I see from their perspective how they feel threatened as well. And I think that it's important for both sides to become less emotional about everything and kind of take a step back and try to look from a more neutral perspective on both sides, where each side is coming from. And what I like to do is kind of get grounded and take personal responsibility for myself to say, what can I do in my life today, given everything that's going on, to try to make my world a better place.
This is interesting because we don't frequently hear or talk about the element of the anger and the origin of the anger, where you just said that the liberals may be afraid of the liberals may be afraid of the benefits that they have been entreated to, or they may be afraid of the rights that they believe that they have gained under the last administration. But also there's there's a huge difference between passion and anger. And so it's interesting that that you brought in the anger element to it. Would it be a good idea for conservatives to try to, allay the fears of these liberals that they're scared? I can see it. I see exactly what you're saying. They're scared.
100%, Dennis, 100%. They definitely have to allay the fears, because what the liberals are experiencing now is that fight or flight response and is that fear-based response. And as long as someone's in that fear-based response, they're not going to be able to see the other side clearly because they're in survival mode. So it is absolutely important for the conservative side to allay the fears and not trigger the liberals even more than they've been triggered.
You have helped me understand this whole thing, because now I'm starting to see that when the liberals bust out with the ad hominem attacks, calling you misogynist, racist, bigot, ableist, transphobic, when they go into that, it is because they are fighting. They are fighting, and they're fighting for something that they think that they may lose, which is
absolutely
say same-sex marriage. They may lose their rights.
Absolutely, Dennis. Listen, if you're being chased by a bear out of the woods, how are you going to react? You're going to react from that adrenaline point perspective. You're going to be in that rush. You're going to be in that survival mode. And that's essentially what's going on with the liberals right now, is that they feel like they're being chased by a bear out of the woods. So they're they're coming from that reactive place. And I'm not saying that their perspectives on certain issues aren't valid, but when you're coming from that emotional reactive place, you're going to be saying things and doing things that may not be, it's not grounded. It's not grounded, and it's not coming from a logical place. So definitely the conservatives have to work on allaying the fears of the liberal side so everybody can come together and sit at the table together.
That does seem like the largest challenge that we have is that the political parties, both sides, have caused a lot of divisiveness by pointing out our differences rather than pointing out our similarities. I think most people are probably very interested in preserving their way of life and passing on their standard of living and improving the standard of their progeny. So it seems as if everybody has basic similar motivations, but our differences of what's been pointed out by the political parties, and that is probably done so that they can maintain power, so they can maintain wealth, so they can basically keep the constituency oppressed.
You know what's of concern is that when someone is in an emotional state, like the way the liberals are right now, when they're emotionally open, they're more susceptible to suggestion, okay? So when you're emotionally open and then someone comes in with an attack to you or says something to you, you're stupid, okay? Of course you're coming from an emotional place and you're coming from a defensive place, but that message at that moment when you're so emotional is getting right into your head. It's getting right into your head in an easier way because you're emotionally open. You're not processing information the same way when you're emotionally open. That's why people, when they have these PTSD responses, where do you think that comes from? It's coming from because at that moment that incident happened, they were emotional. They became very emotional and defensive, and the memory wasn't processed properly. So it makes them more susceptible to absorbing the messages that they're trying to resist. That's another reason why the liberals have to get a handle on their emotions so that they can actually come from this and process this from a rational place, which is
that, you know what, Dr. Palmer, that makes so much sense because a lot of times I look at some of these protests and I think it's not logical, it's not consistent, there's no empirical adequacy, there's no experiential relevance. It looks completely unhinged, but it's because they're coming from a place of emotion where I'm trying to look at it from a place of logic. And maybe if I were looking at it emotionally, I would probably feel the same way or very similar.
It's the feeling that they're being robbed. It's the feeling that something is being stripped away, which I understand. But they have to understand that the more emotional they get, the more they are attracting and the more they are absorbing the messages that they're trying to resist.
This is so interesting from the perspective that also it appears that the Democrat Party, it appears that the liberals are really, do I want to say harvesting? They're bringing into the fold a lot of these people that appear to have had trauma, just like you mentioned, PTSD or PTSD. It seems as if these people get triggered, and so there is a lot of fear response. And so this is just so fascinating. Just briefly, we got 1 minute left. About what do you think conservatives can do? What is our best strategy to help these folks along?
They probably have to go slower and allow the other side to adjust to the new administration. It's almost too much too fast. So I would say go slower if they wanted to, calm the other side and allay the other side. It's been too much too fast.